and welcome everybody to the first episode of the Loki Spoilercast. I'm Mitch. You can follow me on Twitter at Mitch602, and once again, I'm joined by Sean and the baby.
Yes. So, you can join me anywhere I'm on Instagram. You can join me at _12. I do a couple of special things. So, join me if you want. Join me if you don't. Man.
And once again, Child knows exactly when I start. It's uncanny. Absolutely
the third floating head. So.
Uncanny. I'd love to know how he knows.
He's psychic. If you start hearing row your boat, that's my fault.
Absolutely blame me. So yeah, Loki. Where to begin with Loki?
Start at the beginning.
Which beginning? Because there's a beginning of the show and apparently the beginning of bloody time in this thing as well.
Let's start at the beginning, where they go back to Endgame.
Yes. Because actually, right now I've seen a lot of people talk about this because you're just saying about the Endgame bits. Is this happening in 2012 or is this happening after Endgame?
After Endgame.
Because obviously everything there is like in the year that it's happening, but it only ever tells you what year it is when they're going somewhere. It never tells you when it is when you're in the TVA.
So when you're in a TVA, it's a little different because the time doesn't flow very,
Yeah, so I get the whole point. You're outside of it, but there's no reference point to exactly when. It's like, the Avengers were supposed to do that. It's like, well, cool, but that was in 2012.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that it meant that it's like they already know what's going to happen, so that's why they talk about it in the future tense sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would say this is happening after Endgame.
Yeah, that was my assumption as well, but it's one of those. I don't think it was. It's a typical time travel show movie problem.
I
was pinpointing down exactly when things. And it's not even a massive problem. It just wasn't like I didn't find it was that clear.
Yeah. Well, because his adventure takes place directly after that scene, so it might be overlapping a little bit in terms of is this before Endgame or after Endgame? It's both, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But as the show progresses, it would be. If you went normal in the normal time flow, it would probably be after the later episodes. So episode 2 and on, Endgame's already happened. Yeah. Because they know, when they're talking about Endgame and all that stuff, they already know about what's going to happen prior.
Yeah.
So it's it is a typical time travel thing where it's but I think that's pretty much the point of it's not going to tell you.
I say it makes sense when they say, this season's more of a standalone, and I can understand it from just from that bit alone. It's cool. You're not supposed. You don't really need to know when it is because it's just hey.
It has no. Yeah, I don't think it has a bearing on what the story is being told. So
yeah,
it really. I think it's more of it's almost more of a prop, if it makes any sense. Endgame is more of a backdrop or prop to that show because after he goes through the space hole or whatever. That sounds really, really messed up. But that kind of just after that point, it's not even relevant what's going on.
Yeah.
In there because they're not focusing on that. They're focusing other things, So.
Mm-hmm. No, overall, I did really enjoy it. For first episode, it was. I don't think it wasn't my favorite, but I say it's probably the strongest.
I think it all rides on Hiddleston, and Owen Wilson is the surprise for a lot of people. I'm assuming
100%.
Yeah, and we were talking about it last week. Privately, and I think the Owen Wilsonness of it he tones it down a lot, but he still is still there in a way, but it's not like overbearing like all his other performances.
I was gonna say there's Owen Wilson, but then it's like Nicolas Cage. He has that personality that you expect to get, and he's really dialed it back a little bit. He's not playing a typical Owen Wilson character.
Yeah, and I think that was like, I mean, the showrunners were like, I mean, because like, let me get down to it. Owen Wilson's a good actor. It's just kind of like it's like Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage can be a good actor if he's reined in and toned down.
He's just phoning it.
But he's like, but if you have a director or whatever letting him just let loose, you're gonna get what you get, you know. And it's the same with Owen Wilson. You know, like he usually has a repertoire of a character that he plays, and he rarely. There's a couple of movies that he kind of like steps out of that comfort zone of his. But I think in this show, and you'll see it later on in the episodes that it kind of works, you know, because it's kind of toned down and it like you don't get so annoyed by it. You don't get annoyed by it.
I'll say I'm one of those people that usually get annoyed by like all the eccentrics, you know, Nicolas Cage, Owen Wilson, like they tend to really annoy me. But in this, I could have watched the entire hour of just those two in a room.
There's a good chemistry between the two for sure.
100%. I think if they didn't get on that as well as they did, this episode would have absolutely been the weakest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of hinges on like the two. I mean, you can call Owen Wilson a lead because he's in every episode and he's going to be a focal point of the show. You know, so the chemistry of the two leads, you know, it has to work. If it doesn't, it just doesn't, you know, doesn't feel good. Doesn't like, you know, you don't want to watch it. But like, there's a part in the show where Owen Wilson does something in an Owen Wilson way, but it still works for me.
Is it the talky bit?
Talky thing, yeah. You know, like you know he's gonna say that, but like you see it, and like in the context of the show, it doesn't, because he's not overdoing it. You know, it's like it kind of feels right the moment when he says it. And I kind of laughed every time, you know, and like
I'll be honest, it's one of my favorite bits. It's just it's very Owen Wilson-y, but it's so subtle. It's just that talky.
Yeah, and it's like he takes a character like that is kind of like in the comics is kind of bland. Yeah, and like he kind of makes it his own, you know, and like adding little bits and bobs like that, you know, it makes it feel like he's making a character for himself, you know, and like it. And like I think the key, like I said, is just he's not overdoing it, you know.
Yeah, and he's also not he's not like a hotshot character.
Yeah,
like he feels kind of like everyone's done with his crap in this. Yeah, just like no, just go along with everything. It's like just follow the rules. He's like no, no. You need to go outside.
There's another part that I really liked with him, and it was just him, and like when it first introduced him. When he was in, I think it was 1850s or something like that. I don't know. It was like...
Oh, wasn't it like 1584 or something like that?
Yeah, he approaches the boy, and then he talks to the boy, and like the whole bit where he asks who did this, and then he turns and points at the pain. And guys, look, don't start with the Mephisto thing.
I'll be honest here. I think everyone's kind of cottoned on. If no one cottoned on to the fact that he's pointing at a picture of the devil because of the Loki horns, I think if you missed that, then you severely missed what the point of the show.
Yeah.
Because even at that point where he hasn't told everyone that it's Loki, it's so obvious that they're going after Loki.
Yeah. I mean, like the whole show. I mean, again, you're gonna see it towards the end of the show. Is like there's a reason why they call him the Variant. You know, like and I think it's gonna be. I can't wait to when people see, like, because I think it's either the third or the fourth episode that.
If I have to cut this out, don't say it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything but expect more reveals when you get to like the third and fourth episode. So you're gonna see a full view of like the characters. But like, you know, and it's I can't wait. and it's interesting about this show is like when I think we were talking about a year ago or a couple months ago about the original idea of the show.
Yeah.
And like I really loved the original idea, and I was bummed out when they decided they wanted to change it, because it, we even both agreed it's kind of a low hanging fruit just hearing it. But when you see it being executed and like in physical form, you kind of go, okay, I get it. It's.
I'm very much still in the lane of I'm at the point where I still would really have preferred the original idea.
Yeah.
But what they've presented in the trailers in this first episode, so I'm on board for this. I'm not going to judge it against what could have been.
Yeah, and that'd be unfair to do that, because it's like you can't judge something that's doesn't exist.
Even though I still really
No, it was. Look, I'm still I'm still bummed out about how it turned out, but it's like, I think what they have done with the show, it kind of takes the sting off of the fact that you might never see that original idea, I think, or maybe later down the line.
I think it really helps that it's, we've just only really come off the back of a time heist movie, and this very much feels like a time heist as well. It's that, I don't want to say generic. It's a very dumb
procedural.
I wasn't going to say procedural. No, it's the how to catch a killer. We need a killer.
Yeah.
Sort of idea. It's been done a million times in procedural and all that, but it's putting its own spin on it. But it feels so different compared to Endgame, and these last three, like, compare this to Falcon, compare it to WandaVision, they're entirely different. Like nothing since Endgame, nothing's really been the same. Like nothing's really had that same. Oh, this feels like a Marvel thing, or it looks like a Marvel thing. It still feels like Marvel doesn't really. It still feels and looks like it, but it feels like a different version of what they've been putting out. So I think, even with the original idea, I think it very much would have followed on what we've had before, whereas this one is so fresh,
so different.
What they've done.
So different, yeah. And like, I love how it really does link into other shows and other movies, and like. You're gonna see.
I wonder what movies it links into. It's not like they literally have it in a line of dialogue in this or anything.
Yeah, and
like I honestly, they said that line and I rubbed my eyes. I loved it, but I had to rub my eyes.
Well, I think, and I love the whole TVA aesthetic.
I spoke about in the commentary. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love how they use like. And I know, and then again, that has been done before, but I think what they added to the recipe made it a little bit different from all the other stuff that's ever come.
It's like they've taken like the 70s sci-fi aesthetic. Like there's a lot of familiar shapes and the iconographies and all that stuff, but then you have like the actual like 60s, 70s home aesthetic. Where you have those like oranges, those tan browns, the dark browns, and like it just looks really nice. Like it was a bit like the episode was a bit dark. Like it was really weird. I watched it on the monitor first, now I watched it on the big 4K TV, and on the 4K TV it's dark. It probably didn't help that the sun was low in the afternoon, so like you couldn't really see anything. But it's just like I'm squinting here.
Well, it's gonna get like a little bit more colorful as the season goes along. I can't wait to the episode 3 to talk about that, because it's a very interesting episode in my opinion. But I mean, I love what they did, and like it truly will redefine the character by the end of the season. So like,
I mean, it's redefined him already. No.
Yeah, now, but like,
complain about that. I don't understand why. It's they sped run his character development. It's just like they haven't.
What are you talking about?
It's like. It's the Stones, right? I'm just going to jump right ahead to the Stones. Like the Stones is the turning point for this character in this episode. Because it's like, it's gone from 2012 Loki to, what was the point in that already? And I challenge anyone to not go through that same thought. Well, like if you just saw, all this, you you know what the Infinity Stones are. If you just saw how they were using them, then it's like, of course you're gonna like ignore and boy off everything you were literally just doing. It's like, what's the point? Like,
I honestly love what they did with the Stones. To be honest with you,
it's mad. They didn't do it. I'm not gonna say they didn't do it exactly how the comics did it, but it's the exact same idea of like, there's more than one set, and there's always going to be more than every reality has, or every universe has its own set of stones. You take them out of that reality or universe, they're useless.
And they're useless. Yeah, they're paperweights.
It's always been the case in the comics. Always.
There was a bit that was kind of like they were going to use so there was going to be a little bit more in the background of that scene that didn't really make it. There was going to be a gauntlet somewhere in the scene. I can't remember exactly where they were going to put it, but they talked about like using there's going to be objects in the background that you can like a bit like
an open soul situation.
Yeah, and for some reason it didn't make it, but like and I think they did a really good job of breaking down the TVA, and then like saying, hey, magic is useless here because you're not in you're not in you're not in your time for one, so you're not whatever you're capable of doing, you just can't do.
Yeah.
And like. I mean, as the season goes on, I think they're going to explain it a little bit more. But I think they did a great job in that first episode to kind of like, because the TVA is like really hard concept to wrap your head around. But I think what they did was,
it's a very like high, like sci-fi high concept stuff.
Yeah, and I think what they did with how to explain the job of the TVA, I think they did a great job. In that cartoon,
Tara Strong making a date. What a get. Chef kiss, what a get. Fantastic.
And I guarantee you, I love the whole. Like, it's just there's a lot of things that I love about the show so far. And then and the thing with Loki is like, if you've seen what you see, like he basically saw This Is Your Life. He took him down memory lane, and of course he's gonna like kind of break down because he's seen the one person, the one person that really cared about him die because of him, and he's got to deal with that, and like.
Yeah, he had a very, very long day. Not only did he just find out the thing he, essentially tasked with getting is ultimately pointless. So what was the point in even, going working with Thanos and whatnot? He then finds out he's the reason why his mum dies, and then he loses his dad, and then he finds out the person he was working for kills him anyway. So you're gonna change. Like, is it quick and dirty character development? Sure. Is it like, we're not going to do anything with him anymore? No. Like, they got him to a point where he needs to be for this show. This isn't the Loki we've had. It's a different Loki. They have to do something different with him. They've done something different, and they now setting him up for something entirely different.
And I'll let you guys know is like there's going to be a hint of old Loki in there.
They even have that in this episode. But anyway, Wilson's like, you tried to use that? He's like, several times. Like, even after everything, he's still trying to get out of there with the Tesseract, despite knowing A, he can't use his magic, and B, that they're useless here because it's outside the timeline. Like, that old Loki is still there.
Yeah, and it's going to still be there in a way, and that's the whole reason why Mobius wants Loki's help is like he's the only person.
You gotta get a Loki.
Yeah, exactly. And there's gonna be several Lokis in this show, and like I just can't wait. Like I literally, I can't. I'm not gonna say, but I'm speaking on a bias, being biased here because like I know a lot of people think that when I talk about these shows, like I'm just gushing about it because I work for the company, blah 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 blah. It's like no, like it truly hits like there's when I watch a lot of these shows, it really resonates with me, and like there's something there that I always like something that's missing from all the other superhero shows that I get with these shows, you know, and like. I mean, I wasn't a huge Loki fan, but then I think the show really put me over the edge with the character, and I think Tom Hiddleston kind of just nails that character, and he should nail that character because he's been doing it for a long time.
I was gonna say, but, like, he kind of at this point, yeah, he should.
I mean, he's basically Loki, and he, you know, I think when he goes for jobs, he's like using Loki Lavalson as real name, you know, at this point.
Oh, but, yeah. But one thing I appreciate about Hiddleston, he's the only actor Marvel has that hasn't ever spoken about leaving.
Yeah, I mean, like,
or at least publicly. He might have done it privately to people, but publicly, he's never been like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to do this forever." Even you just had Anthony Mackie being like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be a 55-year-old Cap. I'm going to give this like 6 to 8 years." Fair enough. I'm not expecting him to be there forever. But like, Hiddleston's never done any of that.
Has Hemsworth said that either?
Yeah,
I can't remember. Oh, yeah, it's okay.
He said it. Yeah.
But like, you know,
he's gone real quiet now. But yeah,
of course. But he's like, oh, but like, yeah, because like I think Hiddleston really, I don't think there's any like, I would be kind of bummed out if the roles were reversed in a way, like they would have been, you know, if we were in a different time. You know, he could have been Thor, but like, I'm glad that they didn't go with it.
I'm glad we got what we got.
Yeah, you know, and he, like, I think, you know, if you watch earlier, like that Comic-Con reveal with him was crazy. I mean, it's like, it's, you know, he was Loki, you know, and it's like, for some reason,
the Avengers one?
The Avengers one where he spoke to the crowd in character.
In the whole costume, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an iconic moment. What a fantastic moment.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, man. He just brings something to that character, and like, maybe it's just a part of his DNA at this point, you know, because it's just, he's been doing it for so long. But like, I think the way they are shaping the character up, I think they could use him for a very long time, you know. And like, by the end of the show, you'll see, everybody will see what I'm saying is like, and it's like, he could leave, sure, but like they could very well integrate what that character becomes by the end of the show into any one of these movies or shows. Yeah, I mean, not anyone. I don't think you can get into Cap very much, but yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any other person that could play that character. Like, it's just so hard. I
think that's kind of the beauty of Loki. Like, you can get anyone to play that character. Like, you know, for the base, you know, Hiddleston has set the bar, and you know, it's like this is how this character acts. And obviously, you're gonna have to get people emulating that a little bit, but you can. It's a bit like a James Bond. You can get literally anyone, you'll be fine because that's Loki. You know,
Loki's well, I mean, Loki's. I was gonna say Loki's a fluid character anyway, so it's like, but like, I love this first episode. It's just like, it's a great introduction to the TVA. It's a great reintroduction to the character. I remember people talking, like grumbling about the Owen Wilson casting. It's like, at this point, you can't. I mean, I guess you can question.
I will absolutely question every casting. Like, quick sidebar. I am questioning the hell out of why Jamelia Jamil is Titania in She-Hulk. I 100% trust. You know, it's like, hey, fine. I like her as an actress. She was fantastic in The Good Place. She does, but I do not see that casting up at all. Like, those two do not go together. Chalk and cheese.
Yeah, I think when you get to that show, you'll see like what they saw.
Oh, 100%. But just from what I've seen of her, this little girl that I say I know, but I said little girl. This young woman that was a TV presenter on an obscure channel over here is now suddenly Titania. It's like, nah, this don't add up. This is really weird. Because I can still, she used to do all the festival stuff at E4 over here. It's just like unless I'm completely thinking of someone else, but I'm like, yeah, you were a TV presenter. This is weird.
But it's funny though. Like, I mean, I'm not. I guess like Olivia Munn's not a great example, but like it's an example. Like you can move up the ladder. She was a host in G4, and now she's
true. But
like
she can't act.
No, I mean, God forbid she's beautiful, but like she can't do it, man. But I think when we get to that show, I think you'll see what they saw.
I am excited to see what they saw and how she pulls that role off, because I can not. Usually, I can understand. I can be like, I can see it. I get why. Tatiana Maslany for She-Hulk, I can absolutely see why. Jamili Jamil for Titania, I cannot see why. I'm just like, what? How?
Also, the TVA isn't going anywhere after this either. So,
see, this was going to be my question, because obviously they establishing this. This is very much that we got to establish everything so we can get on with this show. Which it's a pilot, fair enough. They did it in a really good way. I wasn't bored in the slightest. They handled everything really well. The only thing I think they could have probably done better was because not me personally, but I've seen a ton of people say this is there or is there not a multiverse? And I know the show, Miss Minutes literally says the multiverse is organized into a single flow of time, i.e., everything's on the same path. There is other realities. It's just all on a straight line. Nothing's going off in its own spot. So right now, there isn't really a case for a Secret Wars. Like you don't. Yeah. At least that's my perception. There's no currently right now. Even though in my brain, this is my assumption. I don't, because with the whole No Way Home rumors, it's like if that's the case, then how are you going to get Tom and Toby? Because then that's a variation. But it's one of those where it's like it's time travel and multiverse. You shouldn't think about it too much because it doesn't hold up anyway.
Yeah,
you just you have to suspend disbelief, get on with it, and go with the flow.
When the best example of time travel is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, you gotta let it go. Like, you gotta let the logic part kind of take a backseat to everything, because it's like, I think once you start explaining more things, that's when the holes start forming. And you can look at a lot of examples like that with movies and TV shows that have time travel. It's like it's almost impossible to explain it to make it make sense, because like there's always some type of
it's a fictional concept. It's never going to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you can't apply logic to it because it doesn't. It's not a concept based in logic. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
I mean, if you look at studies and scientific data with time travel, it's like it's almost it's like Greek, but like you cannot. There's nothing tangible about the logic of time travel, because it doesn't. You can't do it, so you can't. It's all theory at this point, So like,
until we can actually time travel, every time travel thing is wrong. Back to the Future's wrong. Terminator's wrong. Endgame's wrong. This is wrong.
Well, I mean, like it's like in the context of the movie, like I love how they did it in Endgame, where they just started referencing like all types of time travel things to kind of explain time travel, and it's like
we're not doing that time travel, we're doing this kind of time travel. Like that's
for every movie it's different, It's like it's different as long as they can explain it to me and it makes sense in the context of the movie, I'm fine with it, because because when you overtly explain certain themes, that's when you start seeing the seams and the holes, and people start, well, that can't happen. But if you just leave it, kind of just say the basic, I think what they did was great, because it's just like they're not gonna. once you get into minutia of time travel, that's when it becomes like kind of.
It's also one of those where it's like the show's asking you to buy a lot. That's completely fair. It's asking you to buy a metric ton. But if you can buy everything else, but you can't buy that, then that's a you problem, not a show problem.
Yeah, and if it's entertaining enough to entertain you, that's a good thing too, because it's like, it makes it easier for you to give the logical part a back seat.
Yeah.
Because
I have my justification for the how time. I'm sure the show's gonna go into it a little bit more later anyway.
A little bit more, yeah. It's gonna get a little.
To me, in my head and how I justify it, it all makes sense. Because it's like in Endgame, Banner. I know I'm literally explaining that, as we said, you shouldn't really explain it. But Banner in Endgame, he did the whole. You're not going back to your past. You're going back to a different version.
Back to your future.
Like your past becomes your future. It's not actually that past. It's a different version of it. And it being a different version of it completely lends itself to this, where if every reality is following the same set path, dictated by these three space lizards, then there's going to be no variations in anything. And that's why they can go back to 2012, and that's why 2012 was identical to what we've seen.
Yeah.
And, I've seen people be like, oh, Doctor Strange saw 14,605 possibilities. And it's like, that's possibilities. That's not what's happened. Possibilities and timelines are two separate things. Yeah. It's like, here's what can happen, here's what will happen. So, therefore, yes, every multiverse Thanos lost, essentially. Yeah. He wasn't allowed to win. Because obviously, if he won, the Timekeepers lose. So, therefore, he couldn't win. That's how my brain justifies it and everything. So.
And basically, all the Timekeepers are really doing at this point is just keeping themselves in existence. Yeah. So, what they're fixing is like they're making sure that they exist at some point. So
it's also in a roundabout way. I think it's very subtly done. It's very relevant.
Yeah.
You have these old guys in power dictating everyone's lives. I wonder what's going on there. Is it right? Is it wrong? Who knows?
I mean, who knows? You might get a little bit more into that in the show. You never know. With I think.
I mean, you don't name drop the name of a Doctor Strange movie coming up.
That's true.
Without getting.
It's true. Well, I mean, I think the idea of the whole thing got kind of set up earlier. I think this kind of elaborates on it a little bit more and lays more of the groundwork for, and like Doctor Strange is just gonna go bananas. From all intents and purposes, it's going to be bananas, and like, I think I find that very interesting, I love the whole looking at because one of my favorite comics when I was growing up was the What Ifs, and that was I loved
everyone.
Yeah, I loved it because you get to see a version of maybe a popular storyline doing it a different way, or a character turning into a different character, or whatnot. I just love the TVA. And I think you're gonna see a lot more of them throughout the next couple years.
As long as we see more of Casey, I am entirely happy.
Mm-hmm.
Casey was my MVP in this episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely my MVP. I looked at him and I was like, who the hell is this drip? And it's just
What's
like,
a fish?
This dude's hilarious.
What's a fish? I don't know.
It's just like, I just want to know what I'm flying to.
Well, I love the fact that it's like, they don't know what he has never seen what a fish is.
No, I can't remember if I've ever seen anything there. I don't know. It probably has happened before, but it's a double fish out of water.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? What am I talking about? Who knows? Like, just go.
I love his babble about the stones and like, oh yeah, they're everywhere. We sometimes use them for paperweights, It's like
some of us use it for paper. Some of them.
I think, and I love the expression on Loki's face. I think that's at that point. I think it kind of dropped like a ton of bricks for him.
Yeah, that's a turning point. It's like, I just got my ass beat for nothing.
Yeah, it's like, and then like then just to be told that nothing I do changes. I'm supposed to be this way. Yeah. To sit there and tell a person that their whole purpose in life is to make other people be better.
I was just about to say that line, the way it's presented, you're meant to be the way you are so other people can be the better version of themselves or the best version of themselves. That was brutal as all hell. It's just like, ouch. What a...
It was... I was going to say, it was... Anything that Odin ever said to him was pale in comparison to what he was told in that room.
That would like if you were in that situation, that would destroy a person. But from the moment that he asked Casey, "Is this the ultimate power in the universe?" i.e., the TVA, full well it's Loki. He's gonna go along with stuff because he wants to be part of the TVA. He wants that power for himself.
Yeah, and Untimely, that's exactly the character anyways, regardless of, at that point in time, he's still Loki. He might have been told a lot. It might have been a bomb being dropped on him by saying that he's responsible, for the death of his mother, and Untimely, the death of his father.
To be honest, fantastic pull from a movie I haven't watched in ages because I don't particularly like it. I never noticed that he's the reason why she dies.
Yeah.
I never put that together. It's just like, wow.
See, I think in the last couple of years, they've made that movie more relevant.
Yeah, they've done it with Iron Man 2, and they've kind of gone like, right, well, we made that movie slightly better. Let's do it with the other one.
So, from Endgame to now, it's like they took a subpar movie that people ragged on and kind of made it a little bit more important in the timeline, and I didn't hate Thor The Dark World.
No, I've never hated any of their movies.
Mediocre.
It's very mid.
It's in the mediocre.
Yeah. You can see there was a bit of meddling going on. There's a bit behind the scenes drama.
Yeah, it's early. Considering that it's early in the birth of the Marvel MCU. That's the one thing a lot of people don't realize. It took a lot. It takes a lot to get to a point where they are now. Yes, there was a lot of stuffing things into a movie to get it there. Yes, there was a lot of you can't do this. This is a set path. At the end of the day, I don't think it happened too often early on in the MCU. I think it only happened in the second Iron Man and the second Thor. And then after that, they kind of I think they realized that.
I say a little bit of Age of Ultron as well.
Yeah, a little bit of Age of Ultron, but I think they realize that it's important to have creators' input, meshed with what they want to do too.
It's important to get Perlmutter out of here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. a lot.
The root of all evil and problems they've had. Let's just get Perlmutter out of here.
He's not fully out.
He'll never be fully
MCU
out. Unless he gets paid out or whatever. But
but he I think that's the stark contrast to what's going on in the other companies. It's you have to sacrifice a lot to get to the point where they are now, and now they're in a position where you got the Taika Waititis that can do what they want to do, but also work together with the studio to make a movie that fits in and that has elements for what they need to be, see the other stuff, but also
get it on with Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson.
Yep.
I salute that man so much.
Yes.
Fair play to you, Ty. Fair play. I like the whole articles going around of Marvel's not happy with the images, well, he's still working on the movie.
Yeah, I literally had 3 people in the last couple of days text me. It's what's going on? It's come on, man.
They're adults. Let them bang. Who cares?
I'm gonna tell you straight up, man. There's nobody's not happy with Taika Waititi. In fact, they're talking about giving him more. So it's
how much more can this man take? He's already got Thor. He's got both Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson. What else can he have?
He's got Oscars. He's got Star Wars too coming.
He does have Star Wars. Yeah, not only is he acting in it, he's going to be directing it. What more can that man have?
Well,
he's taking the world.
Look, I think they're trying to groom him to be what they were trying to get James Gunn to do.
Yeah.
And I understand why. Maybe maybe there's still some resentment there, and like
there'll always be resentment there. Always
for a good reason. I mean, let's face it, like that was probably one of the single worst things that Disney did.
Oh yeah,
in that time frame. It was kind of a bummer that it happened, that played out that way. But like it happened, nobody can do anything about it but move on. It's not like the door is completely closed with a lot of but like I think Taika kind of fits more in, like I've only met him once, just in passing. Great guy from what I mean,
he's the only person that's done Kirby properly. So yeah.
I mean, he's super approachable, and like I'm kind of bummed that he's never gonna do that Akira, movie.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I thought about that like a while back, and I'm like, oh man, that would have been. I remember us talking about that like
we talked about it for ages,
and like it's a bummer, but like you can't do anything about it.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like at this point, I don't think that movie's ever gonna come out, anyways. But
if it does, it will be a Nexus point to tie this back around, because they are throwing out these terms. It's like you're going to be hearing about these things for a long time. Get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, the Nexus thing is like you're going to hear a lot about that in Doctor Strange too.
Oh yeah, because there is literally talking Nexus walking around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Wanda is practically a MacGuffin at this point, and for that, and yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see the next couple movies coming out that connect to this directly.
Right. Because I wanted to talk about this, like, we can give it like maybe 10 minutes on this.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly at this point, Wanda hasn't done anything. Because I can't imagine the TVA or the space lizards, even the timekeepers, they're not actually lizards, or according to IGN, one of them's Kang. It's like, no, shut up.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up. Dumb cretins. But yeah, like, clearly she hasn't done anything, because that whole video spiel with Miss Minutes, it would, like, yeah. If she'd have done something, if she's just willy-nilly going off creating these Nexus events, we would have heard about it in this. So, I assume, as you said, that this is probably going to be around for a while, which is kind of like maybe the sacred timeline isn't a thing at the end of this, or maybe it's not a thing by the end of Doctor Strange. Either way, we're getting a multiverse proper.
I mean, who's to say this doesn't start in this series though? Like, who's to say that?
True. Obviously, I can't say that because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just spitballing at this point. Like, I don't. Like, who's to say that by the end of this episode or season, it's something that Loki did?
This is what I was going to kind of get at. Is this going to be a case of Wanda is the reason why we have everything, or is Loki going to be the reason why?
I mean, it could go either way if you think about it. Like,
or it's a combination of both, and it's just very circumstantial that it happened that way. But then, Wanda's very existence is like, could she end up becoming a variant because of being a Nexus being? Because if they already have the term Nexus assigned to when variants happen, then these guys must be aware. Also, they're old enough to know that there was a multiversal war before, which we all know Secret Wars. Come on. I will just say Secret Wars. Just announced it already. Come on, we do. They must have known the existence of these sort of beings. So it's like, how is she allowed? Or they just, dictating the fact that she is one of these things, but she's never actually going to do this thing. That has something actually already gone wrong. Is what
I think it kind of maybe.
Or is she strictly set on this path where she's now, like, or not even necessarily her? Everyone's on this path where it's very rare that a variant occurs. So is Loki gonna do something that intentionally or unintentionally, whether it's the Loki we're following or whichever one of the bloody Lokis, they're all Lokis, ends up doing something that's gonna allow more literal free will in the multiverse as opposed to strictly being followed or being.
Maybe that's the goal.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the end goal for that.
And I get that purely from what the comics are doing with Loki right now, where he's like, no, I have abjugated my title of God of Mischief. I'm now the God of Stories.
Yeah.
And that fits perfectly into this, where Loki not necessarily dictates the flow of time, but he has a hand in how the time goes in the MCU.
Yeah. Now. Sort of like a time master, I should say.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a combination of. I think like they do with everything else in the MCU, they kind of pick and pull certain aspects of certain areas. So I mean, you never know.
Because this very much feels like I can't think who done it. I want to say it was Duggan. He did his Infinity event. And like Loki went like this Asgardian library, and that's kind of where he started becoming the God of Stories. It's like
a librarian.
It's like you can really see, and also ironically in that run is where they had like the Infinity Stone mine. Like you can really that would fit so easily into this.
Yeah.
Kind of, I'd love to see, or even like a season 2. I'd love to see all that stuff.
Well, I mean, I think the show is grooming Loki to. Like his whole this Loki is gonna his role is gonna be a lot different by the end of the season. Yeah. So like he's not gonna. I mean he's he's still gonna be Loki, but like he's gonna be like I don't know. He's gonna be. I think by the end of the season he's gonna be a part of the TVA.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I think that kind of like sort of the same thing in a way, because like he's not necessarily the librarian of the Loki, the storyteller or whatever.
No.
But like he is in control of, not in control of the time, but like he's gonna be like what Mobius is really.
Yeah. He's an agent of time.
Agent of time, yeah. That's good.
Or he's a time cop. Whatever.
Time cop. Yeah, I like time cop.
That really bad movie, Time Cop.
Yeah, but this is better. It's not time cop. Yeah. But yeah, I think the status quo for Loki is 100% going to change by the end of the show. So he's not going to be wearing like. Again, you never really change Loki's personality. He's always going to be Loki. But like, I think. Yeah. By the end of the season,
even in the anti-hero Loki we had up until Infinity War, it's like he was still the same Loki. He was just doing different things.
Yeah, but I mean, because like if you watch the some teasers, for some like the teaser trailers, you see that the there's a little bit of the old Loki still in, because the scene with him doing the whole that cover of the boat.
See, this show is kind of put a WandaVision on me. I'm questioning now if that is that the Loki we're following, or is that one of the bad Lokis?
Maybe.
I'm not entirely sure what to believe anymore. I'm just like,
your reality has come on to you.
It really has. I'm waiting for that door to pop up. Is like, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be the same Loki. I mean, like I said, like you're never gonna fully change. Like Loki's gonna be Loki. It's just gonna be he's gonna be more anti-hero, like he was towards the end. Like he was more of a. He still has his goals in mind.
He's an anti-hero on a bigger scale now.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at like Ragnarok, like even though that he was saving people's lives, he still had that hint of Loki, of the theatrics and stuff like that. Like, like so that aspect of Loki is never going to change. It's never going to go away. It's just going to be more like, I think by the end of the season, it's going to be, I don't want to say buddy cop film dynamic, but like,
I mean, I'm expecting a buddy cop.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, he's always going to be Loki. I can say. it, like this Loki's never. I mean, he's changing, but he's not really changing. He's still that whole like ego.
He's out for himself.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, but like he's more of like he's got that facade. He's always going to have that like facade of like confidence, like ultra confidence. Like
the ultimate trick to control the weak.
Yeah, I mean, but like it's all it. I think that's the charm of that character and how he plays it, because it's like we should hate this guy, but like he's so charming and like yeah. I mean, like admittedly in like Avengers, he's more of a spoiled brat, But like
oh yeah.
But I mean, like as the character progressed, it became more apparent that it was more of like he's got overconfidence and it's masking something else, and you can see it in how he presented himself, and like that aspect will never go away because that's his personality, but he will eventually be kind of a mishmash of like what he was in Ragnarok and what he is,
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the whole. I don't know. But unfortunately, the guy that you said you want, I forgot his name.
Casey.
Casey, yeah, he's not in anymore.
No.
I think he's in. I think he might be in a couple episodes.
Casey was the MVP.
But yeah, I to get back into the show, I love the tones of the show too. Like the tone kind of like felt kind of eerie in parts too.
Yeah, and the music as well. The music played a lot.
Synthesized.
Yeah, it's that.
A lot of
well, it was I can't think what it's called. The Star Trek thing. It's that electronic thing, isn't it? Where it's got the loop and the stick, and you move your hands closer.
Yeah. Is it synthesizer?
No, it synthesizes the.
Chat, help us out.
I need to. Oh, we ain't. This ain't live. Oh. God.
Okay. Well, you can help us out later.
Star Trek instruction. I know exactly what it's called. Theremin. That's the one.
Yeah.
A lot of it was very. At least I'm certain it was a theremin. You had the little like.
It's very eerie.
Yeah.
I love like the part towards the end where the TVA cops were coming in, and then it's like, that.
With like, the cocky overconfidence, it's like I just write it off as a standard. This bull bag's time travel to get rich, and he's done it right.
Yeah. And then you see the whole hooded figure in the back, like silhouette, like
female Loki. Female Loki.
Yeah.
And I can say that with confidence because it's a female stunt double. Thank you. Credits giving it away. Well, to be fair, it might not. It doesn't have to be it's a black hooded figure. There was no defining features there whatsoever. It could very well have easily been a stunt double for Richard E. Grant, for all I know. Yeah, my bet.
But yeah, it's
Loki.
I mean, like I said, there's other.
There'll be a few.
More than one Loki. Yeah, there's more than one Loki in the show. So.
Which isn't the spoiler, because the literal the title for this gives it away. All the different fonts and runes for spelling out the name. Yeah, come on, there's clearly going to be more than one.
And I hate to disappoint IGN. No Kang. Sorry.
No, I hate that. I hate the fact that they put that out there. It's just like the Timekeepers and Kang are two very different people. As far as I'm concerned, Kang wouldn't be allowed to exist under them.
Well, the thing with IGN is like they just pick the low-hanging fruit. They see time traveling.
So, this guy's got a blue face and he's got a weird helmet on. It must be Kang. No.
I was gonna say not to be disparaging, but a lot of those people that write those articles, I don't feel are true fans of anything. They just they're almost like posers in a way.
I mean,
I'm maybe
I'm not one to be a real fan or not. It's like I don't.
But I mean, like I'm not trying to like disparage them or in any way, but it's like like I'm sure I'm pretty sure the editors have more control over what has been written, versus the writer.
It's very much MCU TikTok, and they will just say the dumbest crap, whatever, and put it out there. It's just hey, what if this person, what if Steve Rogers from here was Steve Rogers from there? Like, no crap, it's Steve.
It's like, I mean, you're gonna get Kang, but it's not gonna be in the show, And like a lot of people made the connection with the Judge and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, when you have a character that literally went out with Kang in the comics, I mean, Kang's coming. Like, we know that for a fact.
Yeah, I mean, like other characters are connected in ways that don't necessarily have to be shown. So it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Kang, like it, and like the show is not, I think, about. It's more about like it's like wrangling the variants versus it. Like Kang has a completely different storyline, and like they're gonna get that in Quantum Mania, and I think just people are just trying to desperately connect things that are not there.
Yeah, it's easy clicks. It's easy click.
And they whatever they write, they put their heart into it because like it sounds like they believe it. But sorry.
Yeah.
No. You'll get Kang, but it's not there.
I honestly never theorize. Obviously, you can. There's a plausible explanation for Kang being in this thing. Why would Kang not be in it? Right? It's to deal with time. Easy enough to back him in there. Was he ever going to be in there? Probably not. Right.
No.
The fact that this show finished filming way before we had that casting announcement. Yeah. Why would he have been in there? Obviously, you don't sign an actor and then announce it that same day. You'd have been attached for a while. But
you would
like the timing of that, and the fact that he wasn't even said to be in Loki when that was announced, like, kind of writings on the wall a little bit.
I think they could talk about the character of Kang, but Kang himself is not in the show.
No,
100%.
I honestly feel like, without knowing anything, that this show is going to lead into Kang becoming a thing.
Yeah. Well, it's the beginning of all that stuff. So,
yeah. Like having three people overwrite or overlook the entire timeline, dictating how things work. Having someone that can manipulate time like Kang doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Especially when you're dealing with the TVA, it's like
exactly
they wouldn't like that.
Kang would literally be a variant, and he wouldn't exist. So you have to.
I think they would be more. He would be more, like wanted by them just as much as like the variants of Loki.
Exactly. So. Also, I think having the timekeepers look vaguely like Kang is probably a decent way to get the look for Kang.
Yeah.
Maybe something drops in ancient Egypt in this show at one point. Bang, there's your origin for Kang.
I was gonna say, like, there's a lot of places they go, so sure. But
you could go to the end of time and have Kang originate there. You could go to Egypt and have a.
Yeah.
To be fair, you probably want to go to the end of time because that's more. Kang has to then go back and he starts it off there. Like, that'd probably work like that.
Yeah. But King is not in the show, so I want to say that to temper everybody's expectations here. I
guarantee people still had their own. If I've learned one thing, it's that you cannot change people's minds. People are absolutely unwilling to listen to anything that's not what they think.
Oh yeah. Again, I had the conversation with a person a couple days yesterday. They were texting me, like, so Mephisto's in there, and I'm like, no. Why? I'm like, look, man, like there's more. Like, it doesn't always have to be Mephisto because like if you think about it, Loki has roots in the devil himself anyway.
Yeah,
so if you go back to earlier issues of Marvel Comics, if you go deep into the Marvel Comics thing, he posed as the devil, and that's more of what the reference was about anyways.
Yeah.
Versus like it's like like Mephisto's gonna come eventually, but it's not here. You know, like,
see, this is what I don't understand. Mephisto's only known for one thing, and people hate that one thing with a passion. It's been over 15 years at this point that people know the thing that Mephisto did, and people are still going on about it right now. You know, I don't get why people want him around, because like, if he's around, the likelihood of something like that happening goes up. Why would you ever want?
I mean, there's other things that he's been involved with. Like he's been involved with other major things. But I think I like.
I mean, sure, he was in like Infinity Gauntlet and that, but he literally did nothing in that event.
Yeah, he was just whispering in people's ears.
I say he stood there poking the bear that was Thanos to do something, and then ran away when it happened.
Yeah, I do like the idea of a Mephisto character in the MCU, but it just doesn't fit right now. You know, who's to say that? I prefer
Mephisto to not be like the devil. Like it's like he's like an alien demon. Essentially the devil.
He fights everybody, but he also fights like space. You know, he's fought Silver Surfer on many occasions. But
his first appearance.
I think he would. Yeah, I think he fits. I think he would fit more in Doctor Strange. Movie if he did exist, because like I mean the Doctor Strange types movies can encompass a lot of things, so like, you know, I would like
any like the super, like a Doctor Strange, a Moon Knight, maybe a Blade, Ghost Rider, especially.
The Moon Knight thing's kind of a stretch for me, because it's like I understand where he would be in that, but it's like I think he's definitely not in Moon Knight. So,
no.
But like I think he would make more sense in the Ghost Rider in Doctor Strange thing, because like the Ghost Rider, it's ripe for that, because like the whole thing kind of centers around, you know, demons anyway. So it's like that would be a perfect fit, you know, of introducing, because they kind of did it in one of the second movie with Nicolas Cage, but it was kind of not. It was.
I was gonna say Ghost Rider it's like a connection. It's not exactly Mephisto, but Mephisto is involved with all that. I can't remember the name of the Spirit of Vengeance. I know it begins with Z.
Xandros or something like that. I don't know.
But like Zerathora.
I think he fits more in that realm versus like here. Here, Loki is kind of like, I don't know. He's the type of character that can kind of exist in anything. He's like very few limitations when it comes to like where he can be placed. And especially now when he's in the TVA, it's like kind of like he can be anywhere. You know, he can show up anywhere now at this point.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, I'm not sure if it was a deliberate reference or if it's my brain, but the whole we have a nightmare department.
Yeah,
I didn't get that. Was that referring to Nightmare?
That was.
Okay.
That was a slight.
It was.
I think it was
I find it very odd. I find it a really odd reference to make. To me, those two things don't mix.
Well, it's kind of a double entendre. If you like, I think it was more like, I mean, there's a apartment that's a nightmare to be in, but it also would reference the nightmare.
It's just
because
I don't know. I think it's probably the oddest Easter egg I think they've ever done. Mainly because I was like, was that supposed to be it? I couldn't nail it down. Like, what else is it going to be? It doesn't really make sense in my head.
I would hold on to that thought until the end of the season. Okay, just hold on to that odd Easter egg comment.
I'm not going to forget. Like it was so odd and it was so out of left field. I'm just like, what? And it's like, cool. That's going to be stuck in my brain.
I think it's like I said, it's a double entendre. It was an Easter egg to Nightmare, but it was more, I think, a reference to like it's a department that is a nightmare to be in. Like, more. But you know, that's all I can say about that.
So it's just it really stood out, and I did not know what the hell to make of it.
Wait till you get to episode 4. You're gonna be like, You're gonna do the Scooby Doo what? Like some of the reference in that episode is like whoa, like because some of these episodes do a lot of reference that go deep into like the whole whole lore.
That's what
I love about the show is like kind of it doesn't shy away from like going really deep into like the references and Easter eggs.
But right, I think that's going to bring us an end for the first episode. We actually went on for slightly longer than the runtime, so we could probably make it an audio commentary. I don't know why you would, but it's just an idea. So yeah, thanks for everyone for joining, and we will catch you all next week for episode 2. So bye bye.
Bye bye.